So this speaks to the idea that, the more general idea that microtubules may process information, but that's another story. So I want to wrap up with two somewhat more controversial, well, not that those weren't controversial, but controversial topics that I think are very, very interesting. One is end-of-life brain activity. And, you know, we've heard for many, many years that people who have cardiac arrests and then are resuscitated, revived, a certain percentage of them, actually about 17%, describe what's called the near-death experience, where they see a white light, a tunnel, and in some cases actually leave their body. Here's somebody waving goodbye to their body. And if they're revived, if they're resuscitated, they come back and they say, I saw the white light, I saw my dead relatives, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, we tend to think, yeah, right, you know, it's just some kind of hallucination, you're hypoxic, and there's all kinds of skeptical replies to this. But none of those skeptical replies really explain it, because, you know, I've seen a lot of hypoxic patients, and they don't have this clarity and serenity. They're agitated, confused, and scared. And these patients are serene and calm. So anyway, recently, two groups have done processed EEG of patients as they die. And one group was a palliative care study done by a guy named Chawla at George Washington University, and another was done by this group at Virginia Mason in Seattle for patients who are severely brain damaged or brain dead for organ donation after cardiac death. These are patients who are severely brain damaged, but for one reason or another, they can't declare them brain dead. So the family wants to donate the organs. The patients are obviously hopeless. They take them to the recovery room. They let them die. And as soon as they're literally dead, they're pronounced, their heart has stopped, they take them to the operating room and take their organs. So I'm not sure why, but they put these processed EEG monitors on them. These are monitors we use in anesthesia to give us a sort of an idiot number from 0 to 100 of how deep or light the patient is. So it's derived from EEG. It's proprietary, exactly how they come up with the number. It involves gamma synchrony, but there's some other things to it that they won't tell us. But the bottom line is that you have a number from 0 to 100 over here. And BIS is one, the bispectral analysis from Aspect Medical. Another one is the SED line that we have here. And they both use 0 to 100. And both of them say, you know, 80 to 100 is where normal awake people are. We want our anesthetized patients between 40 and 60. If they're between 40 and 60, they won't be awake, they won't remember, and they won't sue us for awareness. And if they're below that, you know, they're brain damaged for whatever reason. So here's one. Chawla published a study of 7 patients, and Aoyang et al. Published 3 patients. So 10 patients in all. All 10 at the time when the heart was stopped or there was no blood pressure. So they're basically clinically dead. This number indicating level of consciousness or level of awareness, which is already well below the level of awareness, down near 0, the heart stops, and all 10 patients had this burst of activity up to above 80. This particular one lasted for like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. They lasted anywhere from 90 seconds to, in this case, 20 minutes. And in one study, they looked at the raw data, and it was gamma synchrony EEG. So what this is, we have no idea. I think Chawla, you know, suggested that this could be the neural correlate of the near-death experience, of the white light, of the maybe even out-of-body experience and so forth. Of course, these patients died, so we don't know. He's going to do more studies, and maybe they will be revived, and we'll know if they had the white light or experience. We don't really know. But it's a very interesting phenomenon, and again, something that will be discussed at the Stockholm meeting that we may hear, and we may be hearing more about this. It's going to hit the lay press, I'm pretty sure, one way or the other. At the risk of you guys thinking that I need to see a psychiatrist,
not necessarily a supernatural.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you think of consciousness?
I think most people would see the brain as a computer of 100 billion. They asked me about this, simple switches. A case of reincarnation. Switch. You can fire or not fire. But neurons as a cell are incredibly complicated. And I think we have to go down a level below the level of neurons, inside the neurons, to the level of the microtubules. the blood stops flowing and the oxygen isn't being delivered and the brain starts to lose it, die essentially, the quantum information that is consciousness, including memories, isn't necessarily lost, but can dissipate at large. So it's possible that consciousness, including memories, can exist outside the brain, outside the body. And in the case of near-death and out-of-body experience, would go back inside. If the patient died, then perhaps could be drawn back into another organism, another set of microtubules in a zygote or an embryo.
He's laid out a plausible theory about how
this is from a show that's going to be on the Oprah Winfrey Network, I think, after the first of the year,
so do you
called Mystery Detectives, or Miracle Detectives. These two go around and investigate. We'll find out. This was a case of reincarnation. A kid who had memories of a World War II pilot described details that there was no way that it's hard to understand how he could know that. So I just give a plausibility argument. I would say no. But I think it's possible. The lady's a neuroscientist. She's the hardcore skeptic, and the guy is kind of the woo-woo New Age guy.
Its representation in the brain. But what he's presented to us is a theory. He doesn't have direct evidence, and only time will tell whether his theory is correct.
Thank you. So I just want to wrap up a little bit about quantum, and I'll just, you know, this is a whole lecture in itself, but let me just say a couple things. That quantum is, you know, reality is described by two distinct sets of laws, classical and quantum, which is small, but not necessarily small. It can happen on large scales. And four features are superposition, quantum entanglement over distance, quantum coherence, and uncertainty. And this is the model that Penrose and I developed. And basically, it involves proteins switching states due to electron resonances in nonpolar rings. And these same nonpolar rings are found in all psychoactive drugs, including the psychiatric drugs, as well as the psychedelic drugs like DMT shown here. So, and studies have shown that the more electron resonance donated from the drug to the receptor, the more hallucinogenic the compound. So the basic idea is that quantum, you have multiple coexisting possibilities where classical is definite, deep interconnectedness versus isolated, timelessness, non-locality, possibility of spirituality versus material. And I think from the psychiatry standpoint that the quantum quantum information may be involved in subconscious dreams and altered states. And you could, you know, conjecture maybe schizophrenia or something where you're too much in the quantum and you're too much like in a dream world and reality isn't what it should be. So I think consciousness may be a process on the edge between the quantum and classical worlds. So just to close, let me just again mention the Sweden conference, and my assistant Abby Behar Montefiore is here, who runs the Center for Conscious Studies, has been doing a fantastic job organizing the conference. And then we have next year it'll be back in Tucson. So I'll just close and give you this slide of the summary of the what I think are the 8 new recent developments in the science of consciousness. Thank you very much. Dr.